When is Passover? The 12-day spring wed known as Passover, Feast of Unleavened Bread, Matzah Fest, is always Aviv 10. We have a biblical line calendar. The month of the Aviv is what it's called. On any given year, this is how you figure from Exodus 12, verses 1 to 20 tells us exactly how to do it. It's a line calendar going from left to right instead of like a 7 days and then 7 days and 7 days, because this is going to show you how to do it every year. And then you can transfer this to your Gregorian calendar. Forgive me, Laura, for saying that. On the 10th of the Aviv, we start the feast. On the 21st, it ends. It's a 12-day feast. These last 7 days are the Feast of Unleavened Bread, no leaven to be found in your house. But this day is an added Sabbath, and this day is an added Sabbath of that 7-day feast, part of the 12 days. This day is when you eat your special meal for Passover. Passover means sacrifice. It doesn't mean Passover in English. It means the sacrifice. So this is the day that you sacrifice it, and you're eating it, a special meal on the 15th. You're sacrificing it, you're killing it here, but you've kept it in your house for 4 days. You've picked it out of you've taken it out of the stock on the 10th, and you feed it. You groom it if you want to. Your kids are going to fall in love with it. It's a yearling. It's up to a year old, weaned, and you're going to kill it and cook it on the 14th. And then after sundown, a couple hours after sundown, when it's definitely dark, it's definitely another day, that's when you eat it in haste, car keys in hand. Don't leave any for the morning. Don't eat the fat. Don't eat the blood. You don't need a temple for this. You've never needed a temple for this. You don't need a butcher for this. You roast it whole with its poo and its head and intestines, and you eat it in haste, car keys in hand, ready to go. But this is a Sabbath as well, an added Sabbath. And a week later, you get an added Sabbath. So it's always a 12-day event. So per Exodus 12, verses 1 to 20, this is when you choose your lamb. You keep it up for these days. You take it out, keep it up, keep it up. It says in Exodus 12. It doesn't say you put a stamp in its ear, keep it on the Temple Mount, and go visit it. At the time, on Jesus' triumphal entry into Jerusalem, it was the 10th, a Sabbath that year, a weekly Sabbath that year. And he was kept up and then killed. The Last Supper tells us what we are to do now. This has always been a remembrance. This has always been a feast of remembrance for the day they came out of Egypt. The day they came out of Egypt was the 15th. This has always been a memorial. So Jesus comes along, takes away the Passover, not the Passover. He takes away the Passover. He takes away the Passover, the sacrifice. Okay? So somewhere in here, so he takes away the sacrifice. So what are we supposed to do instead? If the feast, in fact, the Feast of Unleavened Bread is commanded forever, not Passover. Passover became a name with a capital P later. When is Passover? You notice there's no question mark on here. This is the Holy Spirit answer. It's when is. I'm tired of hearing the question, when is Passover? What calendar are you using? Passover is the same time every year, but you guys don't even realize it. It's from the 10th through the 21st of the month of the Aviv, and during the last 7 days, there's going to be there's a question mark. That question mark means there's going to be a weekly Sabbath will fall in somewhere in there, and the morrow after that weekly Sabbath, let's say this is the Sabbath of the weekly Sabbath. The morrow after that weekly Sabbath is going to be your first day of the counting of the Omer. It's going to be your first of the first fruits, a barley sheaf wave offering. No, you don't have to own a barley field. You could probably, at that time, or go buy some. Who knows? But since this feast was commanded forever and it starts out with a special meal, you would think the guy that took that special meal away from us would tell us what to do in its place. Well, he did. Do this in remembrance of me. The Last Supper was, Jesus was chosen on the 10th. So inadvertently by the Pharisees as he did his triumphal entry, and they all said, Hosanna in the highest, blessed is he that comes in the name of the Lord. It's supposed to be spoken at Sukkot, but they chant it so much they they didn't even know what they were saying, but they were inadvertently choosing Jesus. That night was the Last Supper, and he was imprisoned for 3 days. But he did it exactly per the law. He did it per the exact the way you're supposed to do it for the entire event of Passover. Now, if this is a pilgrimage feast. This is one of 3 pilgrimage feasts. You don't do this in your own hometown. You don't take out the lamb, keep it up. You do this only in Jerusalem. Now, Deuteronomy 12:21 says if Jerusalem is too far for you, then you are to throw a party at home, serve clean food, invite pagans. Yeah, let's get some comments on that. So when is Passover? Question mark? When is Passover? No question mark. It's always the 10th through the 21st.